Hello, my name is Alex McDonald, and today I want to talk to you about how failure is a must in order to succeed. Now, a lot of people in today's society have this thinking of instant gratification, and they have no intention of learning delayed gratification because we've learned that when you want something, you get it now. But that's not the way success normally works. That's not the way success almost ever works. And if it does, it's not lasting success. And we can't all be like Mark Zuckerberg and be that successful over something working. So one of the stories I want to share with you is from the book Think and Grow Rich, and it's the headline is 3 Feet from Gold. And so there's this man named R.U. Derby, and he became a very successful insurance salesman in the United States. And he tells the story of his uncle who was caught by gold fever during the gold rush days, and they went west to dig and grow rich. He had never heard the saying that more gold had been mined from the brains of men than has ever been taken from the earth. So he staked a claim and went to work with a pick and a shovel. The going was hard, but the lust for gold was definite. After weeks of labor, he was rewarded by the discovery of the shining ore. So they found some gold. He needed machinery to bring the ore to the surface. Quietly, he covered up the mine, retraced his footsteps to his home in Williamsburg, Maryland, and told his relatives and a few neighbors of the strike. They got together money for the needed machinery and had it shipped back out west. The uncle and Darby went back to work in the mine. The first car ore was mined and shipped to a smelter. The returns proved they had one of the richest mines in Colorado. A few more cars of that ore would clear all their debts. Then would come the big killing and profits. Down went the drills, up went the hopes of Darby and Uncle. Then something happened. The vein of gold ore disappeared. They had come to the end of the rainbow, and the pot of gold was no longer there. They drilled on, desperately, trying to pick up the vein again, all to no avail. Finally, they decided to quit. They sold the machinery to junk men for a few $100s and took the train back home. Some junk men are dumb, but not the one they sold it to. He called in a mining engineer to look at the mine and do a little calculating. The engineer advised that the project had failed because the owners were not familiar with fault lines. His calculation showed that the vein would be found just 3 feet from where the Darbys had stopped drilling. That is exactly where it was found. The junk man made millions of dollars from one of the mines because he knew enough to seek counsel, expert counsel, before giving up. Most of the money which went into the machinery was procured during the efforts of R.U. Derby, who was then a very young man. The money came from his relatives and neighbors because of their faith in him, and he paid back every penny in doing so. Isn't that crazy that if he would have just kept at it, got an expert counsel, he would have made the 3 foot adjustment and struck it so wildly rich? Now, I have a mentor named Bill Lewis, and he's one of the best at building life leadership business. And he has a CD called Felling Your Way to Success, and I just love that CD so much. And he talks about how he was in this process, he was finally starting to make it, then suddenly 35 people quit. And then suddenly he got, not suddenly, but over time, 30 people said no in a row. I've had my share of no's over and over and over, but because of his story, I know that why should I quit when success is just 3 feet away from where I'm digging right now? And what would I quit to? I don't have 15 other things that'll help us get financially free. And I don't have another Bill Lewis knocking on my door saying, hey man, I'm successful and I'll help you become successful. So on that CD, he talks about how there was some nights where he'd go out and it'd feel like it was worthless. But one of those nights turned out to find one of the biggest leaders he's ever had that's made him insane amount of money for 20 years. One of those nights helped him find somebody like Christy Cortizano Smith, a single mother who was working 80, 90 hours a week, never seen her kids, and is now going on vacation every single month, who is now helping my wife Stephanie and I on a regular basis. Like, there's so many examples that he gives in that CD about because he didn't quit when he failed, he just kept going and kept going and kept going. It led him to being wildly successful like he is today. And that example of him and many others like this book, Think and Grow Rich, has really helped us along this journey. And so I want to encourage you to know that you're going to fail, especially when you're doing something new. You're going to have failure, but you must fail and then adjust in order to succeed. Now, Rob Robson says this quote. He said, "Win or die trying, and dying is stupid. So forget about dying. Just win. Let's just win." And in one book I read, it talks about this author who wrote hundreds of manuscripts, kept sending them in, kept getting rejected. And somebody said, "Why don't you try writing a little bit differently?" So he experimented, and guess what? Today, that guy, Stephen King, I almost said Steven Spielberg, but Steven Spielberg is a director, not an author. So Stephen King wrote hundreds of manuscripts that got him rejected, and just because he experimented, he became the most wildly successful author. Now let's think about somebody that didn't follow this process. Somebody like Barry Sanders. Now he got frustrated because the Lions kept losing. He was incredibly talented running back and was known as one of the people that could be the greatest running back of all time. And he was a powerhouse. He was just so impressive to watch. But he's like, "I'm tired of losing games." And he quit. And where could he be today? Could the team have built around him and eventually created a winning culture? Could he have had delayed gratification and made some of his wildest dreams come true? Maybe he is living his dreams. I don't know what he's doing today, but I know for those that are fanatical about football, to have that shot, that opportunity would mean the world to them. And you look at somebody like Tom Brady, who overcame failures and became the best. Now I'm reading a book called There Is No Next, and it talks about Michael Jordan's first season in chapter 4. And in that season, he got humiliated a few times. He had slumps a few times. He went to the All-Star game, and they had it out for him. And somebody like the Iceman, George Gervin, and Isaiah Thomas were like, "Let's make this guy look stupid." And that just drove him even harder to succeed even more. When he was in high school and he got put on JV, cut from the varsity team, that drove him to want more. When he was in college and people didn't really pay attention to him, it drove him to want more. And because he had that killer mindset that I'm going to prove all these people wrong, I'm going to kick some butt, I'm going to win, I'm going to be the best, he went on and did that. So I want to encourage you to know that you're going to fail, brush it off, move forward, experiment, and keep trying. Keep trying, especially if it's a worthy endeavor. If you have a worthy endeavor and you quit, then shame on you, because God has a plan for you. But you're not going to get your dreams with who you are today. You have to change and grow in order to deserve those things. So be willing to accept failure, not as fatal, but as an opportunity to learn and move on, move forward, and win big later on down the road, because that's in your future. You're going to win big. I just know it. I believe in you and I love you, and I'll see you at the top, so I'll see you real soon.